Joining me now, three of the best political minds in the country. Democratic strategist Hank Scheinkopf, syndicated columnist Miguel Perez, and the columnist for the Washington Times, Diana West. And thank you all for being here. Let's start with the Jim Webb exchange. Is this an isolated incident, or is this a sort of a litmus test for a deeper ideological split with the Democrats and President Bush? Miguel?
It's very surprising to me that someone would go to the president's house and act this way. If you don't want to be photographed with the president, don't go to his house. It's as simple as that. So why make a fuss, and why... You know, I don't think it's very courteous of the guy to go, Senator-elect, to go to the president's house and then not want to be photographed with him and then, you know, have this exchange. I would love to know how his son feels about the war. It's
interesting, yes.
Tells you something very simple. Politicians are not machines. He has a son who's in combat on a daily basis. He's got angst about it. He ran his campaign on the war. He's a guy who served this nation as a hero, and he's angry. And so are, by the way, hundreds of thousands of Americans, and they show that anger on Election Day.
Mm-hmm. It is a temper flare. Diana?
Well, they show their anger on Election Day by voting in a very courteous manner. I would agree with Miguel. I would also say it sounded a bit like a line out of a spaghetti western more than anything else. And I was surprised at that, because I think that Mr. Webb's writing is usually better than that.
Okay, let's move on. Since we weren't there, we can't really define exactly the spirit of the whole thing. Interesting exchange. Let's go on to a substantive issue. The Iraq Study Group reportedly will recommend something of a pullback of U.S. troops. We'll find out more details later, but the thinking is that it will be maybe a phased withdrawal. Let's listen to what President Bush said Thursday about a timetable for withdrawal in Iraq.
All timetables mean is that it is a timetable for withdrawal. You kept asking me those questions. All that does is, hold on a second. All that does is set people up for unrealistic expectations.
All right, now, even the Democrats have stopped talking for a quick, speedy exit after the election furor has died down. Mm-hmm. Where do we stand here? Is this cut and walk? Is this more of same? Where do you see it?
Well, the president, unfortunately, appears to be the stubborn guy in this whole situation, when in fact he's right. We cannot have an immediate pullout. When Democrats gave the impression during the campaign that we could walk out of there immediately, I think that was misguided, because in fact, realistically, if we all, and I think more and more Americans are realizing that we have to get out of there, but it cannot be done overnight. And so a gradual pullout is the answer.
Mm-hmm. And yet many campaigned on this whole thing. Is that a disservice to the American people?
I think there's something else going on here, Kitty, and diplomatic think it's probably cut and let's play. And what I mean by that is let's get a little bit out, and then let's get the parties in the region to do business with us and do whatever we have to do to make sure we don't have to go back there. Mm-hmm. That's a different set of circumstances, and I think that both Mr. Baker and others involved in the process have alluded to that.
Mm-hmm. Diana?
Well, one question I have not had answered is who elected the Iraq Survey Group? It seems like it's coming down on us as though James Baker had gone up the mountain and come down a la Moses with the tablet to give to the American people. And so I'm very dubious about the whole thing.
Okay. Let's take a quick break. We'll get back to some other very pressing issues in just a moment. But first, we'll take this quick break. We'll be right back.
Captioning hours provided by Creosote Sweeping Log, CSL, Creosote Sweeping Log.
Every year, there are thousands of reported chimney fires. Protect your home with CSL Creosote Sweeping Log. Burn just once every 60 fires. CSL, the log with the chimney sweep on the box.
If in my choosing, I still had a choice. If I could speak for those who are without a voice, oh, may I be one who sees what's in front of me.
Share your voice. Join doctors in their fight to help patients. The American Medical Association. Visit amapatientvoice.com.
Head On. Applied
directly to your forehead. Head On. I can't stand your commercial, but your product is amazing.
Head On. Available at CVS Pharmacy.
New from the makers of Head On. Introducing Activon. Joint and muscle pain? Activon. Apply directly where it hurts.
Activon. Available at CVS Pharmacy.
New from the makers of Head On. Introducing Activon. Arthritis pain? Activon. Apply directly where it hurts.
Activon. Available at CVS Pharmacy.
Fantastic. Quality.
Wow.
Thanks to the latest Bose technology, it is now possible to have for the first time the same noise reduction benefits in on-ear headphones as we achieved in the award-winning Quiet Comfort 2 around-ear headphones. And now you can choose your preferred style, QC2 or the new QC3 headphones. Wear them when you fly to experience less noise at the flick of a switch. And create your own private sanctuary. Originally designed for planes, owners tell us about other uses, less distraction at work, to unwind after a hectic day, or to find your own space.
Sound quality is fantastic. Peace.
Order QC2s or the new smaller QC3 headphones. Try them risk-free for 30 days. Order by January 31st for a free MP3 player, and you can make 12 easy payments. Quiet Comfort headphones. Hear the difference Bose technology makes.
Monday on American Morning, what's next for our troops in Iraq? Confirmation hearings on Capitol Hill and a new report suggesting a new strategy. Will any of it change the course of the war? We begin at 6 Eastern.
I'm joined again by our panel. We were caught discussing Iraq. UN Secretary General Kofi Annan had a lot to say on the fact that Syria and Iran could work with the international community for a solution. Let's hear what he had to say.
I have been quite clear that the two countries have a role to play, and we should make them they should become part of the solution, and we should bring them in and get them to work with us in resolving the issue and let them assume some of the responsibility. So I stand by that recommendation.
You know, some say it legitimizes rogue regimes, however, to bring them into this process. Miguel?
Absolutely.
It does. Absolutely it does. And I'm not a fan of Mr. Kofi Annan, and I don't take his word very seriously.
Hank?
I wouldn't listen to anything Kofi Annan had to say about anything, but bringing them to the table, it does legitimize rogue regimes. It reduces the power of the United States to determine what moral use of force is and what morality is in international politics, and that is not a good precedent.
Diana?
Well, this is something that supposedly is going to be coming out of the Baker report. I think the president is resistant to it, but one other point that is coming out of the report, supposedly, has to do with a shift on our policy toward Israel, which I think is truly criminal because it proposes to tie our situation in Iraq and the unsettledness and chaos and violence there to pressuring Israel into further concessions to its terrorist neighbors. And I think it's a terrible precedent both morally and politically for the United States.
Let's talk about Iran for a second. It has been 6 months since the U.S. and European allies gave the ultimatum to Iran, and that ultimatum, Secretary Rice said, it'll be a matter of weeks, not months, before sanctions are agreed to. 6 months, still nothing done. Why?
Because we don't know what to do. It's very obvious that we have our hands crossed here and we're trying to figure out what to do, and we still don't know. We don't have a policy on Iran. I think taking it to the UN and making Russia vote with us on sanctions is a good idea. If Russia decides not to go along, we may be able to pressure Russia at least to abstain at this point, because Russia is in trouble because of the spy situation and everything else that's going on.
It seems that the discussion has been diverted to Iran in the Iraq context versus Iran in the nuclear context.
This is a bad set of circumstances for this country. Before you announce a policy, you'd better be able to enforce it. We now look to that part of the world, to gangster regimes, like we have no clout to do anything and that they can do what they want at will.
Disturbing. Diana, last word.
It's very scary, and it just shows the tremendous disarray that the administration and the Congress are in, because there is no policy on these important regimes.
All right, thanks very much for being with us. Miguel Perez, Diana West, and Hank Scheinkoff. Thank you. And thank you for joining us. For all of us here, good night from New York. This Week at War starts now, here with John Roberts.